basically I'm a passenger princess, and this stuff feels kind of nice. I can see why babes advocate for it so much. I could get used to this.
What's the movie that we have never seen because you haven't made it? And make that movie.
His words are for filmmakers, I presume. A class of students lucky enough to sit in the presence of a man who shaped cinema in a way. I'm talking Pulp Fiction, with nothing but a pen and an attitude. And they kind of spoke to me, to the creator, to the scribbler of ideas that might never actually see light, and to the person with stories that haven't yet been told. Not because they're brand new or anything, but because they haven't been told through our own lens. That's the thing about art. Every story has been told, every idea has been captured, every word in some form has already been written. But not by me, not in my own voice. Because I've flirted with the idea of creation for a long time. At this point, I've accepted that it's part of my genetic code. I can go months, even years, without touching a camera or a pen. But I always return, like gravity, back to the paper, back to the lens, back to that unshakable urge to document what it means to feel. And lately, I've just stopped running from it. I've just chosen to embrace it. Traveling to Fort reminded me why. There's something about being in new spaces that expands my creative bandwidth. Every texture, conversations that you don't actually understand, every quiet frame just waiting to be filmed. It's the way exploration births inspiration, and inspiration demands form. But then comes the why. Why make anything at all? A few lines from Bukowski offer one answer, or at least an anchor. If it doesn't come bursting out of you in spite of everything, don't do it. Unless it comes unasked out of your heart and your mind and your mouth and your gut, don't do it. Was he gatekeeping? Probably. Or maybe he was just telling the truth that art created out of obligation lacks soul. And soul is what makes creation real. As an infant in the creation space, I still ponder a lot. A lot. I don't always know if what I'm working on makes sense, if it will connect, if the tools I have are enough. But I've noticed this pattern, like 4 stages. One is the spark, the raw idea jolting me awake, a flicker in the dark. It's not even a full vision, just an itch, a scratching of thoughts trying to align the stars, waiting for a constellation. And sometimes that's enough to start. Then comes the search, because the spark isn't enough. I go looking, watching the greats, learning from people who have mastered their craft. And as Aristotle said, art is imitation, and Picasso redefined it as good artists copy while great artists steal. So I steal, but I reinterpret through my eyes, through my voice, and that's exactly what I'm doing in this clip. But it's also here in this stage where resistance lives, that quiet doubt asking, is this fully formed? Am I good enough? Who's going to watch this anyway? And sometimes that's where I get stuck. But then comes the leap. A moment when the fear of staying still outweighs the fear of creating something mediocre. It's when I hit record, even though I haven't really planned each and every shot. When I pick up a pen, even though I don't know what the hell I'm drawing. When I create, even if it turns out ugly. Because perfection isn't the point. The point is to get moving, to flow, to just let it come out. That's how the messy becomes meaningful. That's when the piece, the video, the sketch, the moment takes on a life of its own. Each project, whether seen by 10 or 10,000, carries a unique DNA that's my own, and that's enough for me. Fitness taught me something vital about creation, that you don't always feel like doing it, but you do it anyway, because momentum matters way more than motivation. I'd like to borrow from Diary of a CEO, where he says, he speaks on the idea of external accountability. That sometimes posting online helps you just show up, not for views, but for discipline, for the promise you made to yourself. So maybe the why isn't as grand or with a philosophical kind of purpose. Maybe it's just a quiet vow to keep showing up in the gym, on the canvas, behind the lens, even when the algorithm doesn't give a shit. Even when no one claps, you still go ahead and clap for yourself. Because you know what? If your favorite artist gave up after their first flop, you wouldn't have the work you now love. Kanye West, case in point. So why not extend the same grace to yourself? There are stories the world hasn't heard, not because they are revolutionary, but because you haven't told them yet. There are films unwatched, poems unread, canvases untouched because you're still waiting for permission. So this is your permission to make the thing that hasn't been made because you haven't made it. To write boldly, to film loosely, to post inconsistently, but to keep making anyway. You don't need to go viral, you just need to go again and again and again, because at some point, creation stops being a product and starts being a practice. And practice is what shapes people worth listening to.
What's the movie that we have never seen because you haven't made it? And make that movie.
It's not as easy as it looks.
That's exactly what the king said.